my name is Catherine and I talk about reducing waste by making instead of buying. And in today's video I'm going to show you how to set up your vermicomposter for the first time. If you don't own a vermicomposter, you can make one, and I will link it in the description box down below how you can make your own vermicomposter, something similar to this one. But let's go ahead and make and set up everything. So first of all, you should know what worms usually like to have. So you don't want to overwhelm worms with things like leftovers. So for example, even if you have a lot of food waste, you don't want to add too much to your worms, otherwise they won't be able to consume, and you want to have some way to counter those. And to counter these, you'll need paper or anything like leaves, that sort of thing, and that will be the base. If you live in an apartment, you should have more paper or leaves or anything else that's this base and have less food waste. Why? Because you don't want to have any smells, and by having a good layer of these papers and things like that, you are able to contain the smell and be sure that other insects don't go through your food. Okay, so first of all, you want to add small pieces in the bottom of your vermicomposter. So I've got some paper. If you have a shredder, that would be much better. So if you cut into small pieces, you'll be helping the worms in some way, so you'll have less, so they will have to work a little bit less, and this way they will compost faster. So things like toilet paper rolls, for example, are great for this. I have here a bunch of toilet paper rolls, but these ones are not. But okay, this seems a good enough setup. So I'm also going to spray a little bit of water. There's also something that you should know about these worms is worms like to have a not too humid nor too dry environment. They will perform best if they have some humidity, so you want to make sure that you take care of that as well. The sprayer is not working out. Let me just put a little bit of water. It's just a little bit just to kick-start that process. This sunroom is slightly humid, so I'm not too worried about being too dry during the winter. Now it's winter, so I think it will be more than okay. And now we are going to add the food waste. So since I live in an apartment and I don't want to have lots of problems with fruit flies, I'm currently freezing. I froze the leftovers to add to the vermicomposter. This will be helpful because it kills the eggs from the fruit flies. That way you make sure that at least you are not introducing fruit flies to your system. It's it won't be bad for your vermicomposting setup, but it will be slightly annoying. And trust me, because I've had this problem before, and that's how I'm solving this. So I'm setting this new vermicomposter and in a way that allows me to not have so many fruit flies and things like that, because I've learned, and that's why I'm recording this video, so I can show what I've learned in my oldest setup. So, having said that, I'm going to add some vegetables and a little bit of fruit. So I'm going to add just this. So it's not a lot of food, as you can see. My idea here is to not worry about it too much at this moment and don't overwhelm the worms, since they are in a new environment. They need some time to get used to this new environment. So I'm just adding some food for them, but not overwhelm them. One thing that you should know about feeding your worms is that you shouldn't feed anything that's not that's salted, that has oil, any meats, anything like that. You want to add some veggies, fruits. Don't add too much citrus, especially if you have a small setup. Citrus can be detrimental to the whole pH of your vermicomposter. So if you have a big setup, then it will be fine, because it will slowly decompose and everything else. But here I have a smaller setup, so it's more difficult to contain all the problems and make them go away. So now I'm going to put my worms. So I'm going to start off with 200 worms. They should be more than enough for this initial setup. This box has 14 liters, and normally you would start about 500 liters, 500 worms for this amount of liters, but I'm going with a smaller setup because they will double their amount in about 2 months, and that's more than enough for me, and that way I can see everything working out. But if you want to start composting in a faster way, buy more worms, okay? I'll also add a link to a full explanation if you don't want to write all the notes while you're watching this video. Don't worry about it. So now I'm going to add my worms. So if you are a little bit picky about touching the worms, just let me assure you that you might not have to touch a lot of worms just on the initial setup. That will be the most problematic, I guess, because you'll need to put them in some way. But after that, you can just scoop everything with a spoon. I have a specific spoon just for my vermicomposter, and I just change things around and put the food in it. But I'll show you and you'll see if it's too gross. So I have here some worms that I bought. Yay! They are here. Okay, so we have here some worms. It's going to be difficult to remove all of them from their containers. Okay, that's why I have the spoon. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to temporarily leave these boxes in here, so that way they will the worms will travel to the food and leave the boxes, and then I'm going to remove the boxes. But this is not something that you need to do if you have a different container. So basically after that, so I'm just going to put this here. So after adding your worms, you have a good amount of vegetables and things like that, and now you just cover everything with paper again, paper or leaves, anything that you have. So basically you don't want, you want the worms to be covered because they don't like sunlight, but you also want to cover because if you let foods be out here in the open, it will call other insects, and that's not what you want when doing apartment vermicomposting. So I have also here this, but we'll also cover it like this. And now I'm going to put here my screen covering. So it's nicely covered and it's ready to go. You have your vermicomposting setup done. And now you just wait. So here's the thing. When you are doing this initial setup, and because it's a strange environment for the worms, you want to wait around about 2 weeks before opening and changing the place where it is. This is mainly as a way to let them accommodate in their home, and hopefully they will set up just fine. If you see them leaving in some way the box, this means that they are not okay. So if they are not okay, this means that they can have too dry environment or too humid environment, or either it's too cold, but most probably it's too humid or too dry. So you want to counter that by adding more leaves or adding more water. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to add to the top box the other composting bits that I add with some worms that are still left from my original setup. And I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have any questions regarding what you've seen on this video, and any questions about vermicomposting in a small apartment. Let me know. Bye!